Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I talk about long hair. I am approaching 100 videos about a long hair growth, which is quite amazing when you think about it. I didn't think that I had that much to talk about, but what is most interesting to me is the fact that there are still people who have the same questions over and over again about this subject of long hair, and they seem to keep believing these myths about long hair growth that keep getting passed along. I guess it's sort of that if enough people say it for a long enough time, it becomes the thing that people believe. And so I wanted to talk about a few myths that keep coming up about long hair and try to dispel them as well as I can. Now, the first myth that I hear over and over in comments or from people who are growing their hair is that you need to get a haircut in order to stimulate hair growth. For some reason, we believe that if you don't cut your hair won't grow. And your hair growth is a process. If you have growing hair on your head, if your hair is there and it's healthy, 90% of the hair that is growing out of your head in the follicles is actively growing. There's 10% that lies dormant, but 90% of your hair is growing all the time. And so if you have hair that is still coming out of your scalp, it is growing, and whatever you do to the ends of it has nothing to do with the growth process. You can't speed up the growth process. It doesn't stimulate hair growth. It doesn't really do anything except change your style, perhaps get rid of damage at the end of your hair, make your hair feel a little bit better because you've evened out layers, all that sort of thing. So please try to remember that cutting your hair does not stimulate hair growth at all, and that's one of those myths that everybody seems to repeat, and it's just simply not true. Another myth that I hear a lot is that you need to change the products that you're using on your hair regularly in order for your hair not to get used to it or for your hair to, have different effects. Now, while different products can have different effects on your hair, it doesn't mean that if you're using one for an extended period of time that your hair is somehow going to get used to it, or remember that once the hair is out of your hair follicle, it's not alive. It's not a living, breathing organism. It's just keratin, basically, that is the same as your fingernails. That's why it doesn't bleed when you cut it. It doesn't hurt. You can't really feel it when you touch your hair. So your hair isn't going to get used to what you use to shampoo, condition, style your hair any more than, let's say, a sweater or a shirt would get used to the same detergent or fabric softener that you use to clean or make your clothes feel good. So if you find products that work for you, stay with them. I mean, why not? You should always go with the products that work for you, and think about who benefits from telling you to regularly change the products you use. That would be the people who are making those products that want to encourage you to stop using something halfway through and try a new one, or stop the one that you're using that they don't happen to make and try something that they do make. So your hair is your hair. Once you find something that works for it, stay with it, because it's your hair, and the best way to know how your hair works is to find the things that work for it, and then you can stay with them. Doesn't mean that you can't change products, but if you do change products, it's not doing it for the benefit of your hair unless what you're using isn't working out. Kind of related to that is the idea that if you're using all natural products, and I use all natural as a term that's really loose because depending on what country you're from, all natural can have various meanings, if any meaning at all. And again, your hair does not act like a living organism on your body. Your hair is just something that is there that you can choose to style or you can have as meaningful in your life. But the products, especially topical products that you're putting on your hair, the naturalness of those products, whether they're organic or not, whether they are, say, food safe or not. A lot of people seem to think that if you can eat a product, that it's better for your hair, and that's just not true. And there's also, especially on the internet, this whole idea that chemicals are bad for your hair. And, everything in the world's made of chemicals, isn't it? If you know basic science, chemicals are just the building blocks of just about everything. So if you are putting something onto your hair, the state that it is before it gets packaged and sent to you doesn't really have any effect on it. So while it might be good for your lifestyle to go for all natural, if you believe that it's better for the environment to have something all natural or organic, that's fine. If it's something that you don't want tested on animals because that is something to do with your beliefs, that's great as well. But all of that is incidental to what it does to your hair. So if you find something that works for your hair, it's going to work for your hair, so you might as well keep with it. And while we are on the subject of things that can stimulate your hair or make your hair behave differently, don't believe anything that tells you that it will stimulate hair growth. There are some things that can slightly stimulate the way that your hair grows, but that usually has to do with having hair grow where there wasn't hair before. So we're talking about chemicals like minoxidil, which can stimulate the follicles to start growing hair when they had stopped due to disease or due to some other reasons. But if you think that any sort of manipulation, I've heard things that like peppermint oil will stimulate your hair to grow faster, or that being upside down, this inversion method thing, where you put yourself upside down and you have the blood flow go to your scalp so it stimulates your hair to grow faster. Even if it stimulates a slight increase in hair production, it's not going to be a meaningful increase, and it wastes a lot of time and it wastes a lot of energy. Your hair is going to grow at the rate it grows, and you might as well get used to that and just have the patience to have your hair grow out as it naturally does. And finally, be wary of people who tell you that a certain thing will make you go bald. There are very few things that actually make your hair stop growing. Those include disease, genetics, some sort of trauma can have your hair follicles stop growing. Of course, chemicals like chemotherapy can have your hair stop growing. But if someone tells you that you're going to make yourself bald by wearing your hair in a certain style or wearing a hat, that one I've gotten a couple of times, people wondering if they're wearing a hat too much, it'll make them go bald. Baldness is something that takes a lot of time and a lot of processes that your normal everyday activities aren't really going to affect. So, especially for men growing their hair long, they are very concerned with keeping that hair, and a lot of that is already determined before you make the decision to grow your hair or not. So be wary of when people are telling you that everybody knows that if you wear a hat too much, you'll go bald, or everybody knows that if you put your hair up in a bun too much, you'll go bald, because it's one of those things that everybody seems to know, but it doesn't have any basis in fact. Thanks for joining me today. I am here every Tuesday talking about long hair. I would love it if you'd subscribe and keep up with all of the updates here. Some other things happen on my channel, so you might want to check those out as well. Thanks so much for joining me this time. I'll talk to you next time.